He is the ranking member on the Housing Committee, Representative Tony Scott. Representative, good morning.
Good morning, Gary. Thank you for having me on the special Valentine's Day.
I was on the Housing Committee my first term. There's a lot of talk about housing needs this session, and it looks like it's resulted in nearly 100 concepts that are being raised. Has that been pretty much par for the last few years?
Yeah, sadly, it's been pretty close to the 3 years that I've been ranking member. I think we're getting close to that each year. And I think it's some of the reason why we're not making any inroads. And you have so many concepts that you're not really focusing on the key ones that will actually make a difference. I think we're doing too much quantity instead of, sometimes less is more. We can focus on the key ones that really make a difference.
Several proposals that are being made. They come from last year, like no fault evictions. I was looking at this, preventing landlords from looking back for criminal history. Why wouldn't you do that? And affordable housing unit mandates. All right, so let's look at these one at a time. Let's look at no fault evictions. What does this mean, and what are the consequences to this?
And this one's probably the craziest one that we have this session, and it was here last year, like you mentioned, and now it's back. So basically, theoretically, what this is saying is if you are renting a place, you can't be kicked out unless there's a just reason to kick you out. And by just meaning you breaking something, the lease, or breaking something, doing something illegal. So if you're just paying your bill, paying your monthly lease payments, the landlord can't kick you out. At the end of the lease, not kick you out during the lease. We're talking at the end of the lease. It's over. A contract between you and the tenant is done. They have to renew you. That's what this bill is trying to do. It's crazy. Think about if I own a building, build a house, a single family home, and I'm renting it to a family, whoever, and my parents are retiring and they're downgrading their house. They want to sell their house, and I want my parents to come into this place. I own this place, right? And it's over. It's done at December 31st, and I can't get rid of that tenant if this would be the law. Like, that tenant would need to be renewed. There's basically the state is stepping in and dictating contract law. It's mind-boggling. And I don't even like to use the word eviction, right? It's not an eviction. The contract is over. It's at that point, it's trespassing. If the contract, the lease is over on December 31st, on January 1st, if that person's still there, then that's trespassing. You're not allowed to be there anymore. You don't have an agreement to be there. So I don't even like using the word eviction in this scenario. For any reason, you have to have a just cause, is what they're calling a just cause to evict that person. And having a relative or whatever isn't just cause enough.
All right, let's look at this next one, preventing landlords from looking back for criminal history. I mean, if you were to apply for a job, they do a dive into your history.
Yeah, it's the same activists that were supporting clean slates. I'm sure you know, a couple of years ago they passed a bill that wipes people's
the clean slate bill
off. Well, it's the same kind of thing. They still want that to prevent you from getting a rental unit. But what I would say is this: there are times you have multi-family homes, you have apartment buildings, you have kids there and stuff, you have families there. You should have every right to be able to make sure that this person isn't some kind of child predator or something like that you're going to rent to justify that you're protecting the other families in the unit, not just that one unit. You're looking at the entire picture. But it's crazy. And there's no way to police this. If there's an article in the newspaper that you Google this person's name and they committed a crime and they were found guilty, you can still see that. There's no way to police this. These two bills that we're just talking about are taking away property rights from your own. The person owns the property and they can't do what they would like to do with their own property or how they want to lease it, how they want to rent it. The state is stepping in and taking over your rights as owner. What's going to happen, Gary? This is what's going to happen. These folks who own these single-family homes or duplexes, they're going to be tired of it. They're going to sell these units. So when they sell them, they're going to sell them to, because the market, like you guys were just talking about with Joe, like the market's really good. They can sell it, make some good money, and then a family's going to buy it, and then that's not a rental unit anymore.
Affordable housing unit mandates. What is that?
So I don't know if you heard the term fair share. We had that a couple of years ago. Yep. That's what this is really about. I mean, like, again, the report that we had is coming back. later this year. It's like looming over our heads of what this report and the algorithm and what the formula is going to say of each town and municipality across the state, how many affordable units they have to have. It's going to come some point this session. We just don't know if it's going to be early enough to actually activate against it this year, but that's an additional burden on top of 830G.
It seems like there are a couple of what we call the aircraft carrier bills being considered. These bills that have multiple proposals in them. Does that sink good legislation if it's rolled together with bad or even controversial proposals?
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah. What happens is, especially at this part of the process where we're in the committee, is we have what's called basically dummy bills, right? You have a bill that has a title, but no meat behind it. But the idea is that we're going to stick 15 or 20 bills and jam them into this one dummy bill at this point. We just don't know what's in it yet. When you stick 20, 25 concepts into a bill, it just really weighs it down and it really puts a burden on the timing. We're going to June 4th. That's it. June 4th is the deadline, and it just makes it really burdensome.
What are the priorities this year for the Housing Committee?
Yeah, I think there's a couple bipartisan ones that we can get to, which is good news, right? I think that's what the people sent us there. Number one, I think, is homelessness. I think we've seen that number go up slightly while we have it under control compared to most other states. Anytime any person, kid, adult, whatever, that is homeless is heartbreaking, right? So let's make sure we're doing everything we can to stop that number from going up.
Well, give me one idea. I have one idea. I've only got about maybe a minute and a half left. What's one of the controversial bills that you see in the pipeline that you're thinking, this can get contentious?
I think the fair share one is the one that's looming over our head the most. Yeah. The other ones we know about, the fair share is just this enigma right now of 2 years ago, I spent 2.5 hours on the floor debating the bill, and we just got it to be a study to kind of understand what this formula is going to be, and that's what we're waiting for.
Great having you on this morning.